Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
So I have 7 o'clock. I will officially call the Village of Saxtons River meeting of the Board of Trustees to order. At this point, we have Chris Coda and Fact TV and 4 board members. This is a hybrid meeting. If anybody has difficulty, they should text actually 591-3418 with their problems. The other phone number won't be answering tonight. So having called the meeting to order, are there any public comments? All right, hearing none, we move on to the MSK proposal. So I did not send this out to everybody, and I am happy to yank it up on the screen so you can see it. This is a revised draft that came from Pat Smart today. I assume MSNK was closed for New Year's Day, so it is here. Are there any questions before I share the actual proposal? Okay.
So how many questions? How many pages is it? And are we reviewing the whole thing this evening? Or?
So it is 31 pages. The first 15 are what I would call legal boilerplate. They define the terms, they talk about arbitration. I will admit to all of you that I have read contracts before, but it may be that we should get someone else to look it over. Maybe some of you have this expertise. Matt is shaking his head. Is that a no, Matt?
Oh, no, not me.
Ellen, do you have this kind of expertise?
I don't. I mean, I'm curious to learn, but I don't have the expertise. So,
okay.
But I am happy to learn.
Carl, you're our longest member. You're one of our long members on the board. Have you seen this kind of document before?
Yeah, in one of my past lives, I used to have to review contracts.
Okay.
I'll be happy to look at it. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet because I opened my email at 6:15 or something like that. But my initial impression is before we sign anything, we should have our attorney look at it.
So is that League of Cities and Towns opinion or our Rockingham attorney?
No, Saxon's River attorney.
Yeah.
And who is that?
We've used Lori Rowell.
Okay. So I should get in touch with her, you're suggesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me show you what we've got here. Take a minute. I think this is it. So I've taken you to page 16. Are you seeing the screen all right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is for my money where the actual description of the project begins. And I will roll down. This is the place that has been most edited from the version we saw before. So I take you to, whoops, I'm reading the wrong thing. So the project understanding. It is actually the third. So if we start with this, we understand in the middle of the first paragraph, we understand that the village trustees are interested in conducting a preliminary engineering evaluation of existing drinking water infrastructure serving the village and evaluating alternatives for infrastructure improvements, which include connecting the village of Saxtons River to a municipal water system to provide residents with reliable access to clean drinking water, support community and economic development, and enhance fire protection in the village. Chris Coda read this over and contacted Pat Smart, copying me, to ask whether we could leave this out, the business of connecting the village of Saxtons River to a municipal water system. And he wrote back, evaluating the feasibility and preliminary cost estimates for these alternatives will provide information that could be helpful for procuring funding for infrastructure funding from either USDA Rural Development or the Vermont DWSRF, that's the Revolving Fund Program. So my take is that this language about connecting to a municipal public water system is specifically here in order to qualify for those two public water funding sources. But I think it goes a little against what we were discussing, and as Carl has recorded in the minutes, so I pointed out to you.
Right, but I think it was explained to us that that's when reviewing such matters, they take the whole thing, such as hooking up to the Bellows Falls water system. So I don't know how we. This must be just the way that they go about it, and like you say, to support funding. But
so on the second page, they have changed the language. That's pretty much the only change on the first page.
can you go back up to the that first page? What does it say about Vermont Academy and the Warner Center? Just mentions.
Residents and businesses in the village rely on either.
No, the one to do with Vermont Academy.
Yeah, I'm coming to it. I wanted to
Okay.
start at the beginning though. Rely on either on-property potable water supply wells or connections to nearby public water systems, parentheses, Vermont Academy and the Warner Center water system, to obtain drinking water.
Right, but down the next paragraph that
Oh,
talks
okay.
about Vermont
So
Academy.
this, both of these are the same as in the original draft? I'm sorry, I didn't know what you were referring to.
Yeah.
Vermont Academy has an immediate need. This describes the deficiencies that we know have occurred at Vermont Academy. The multiple breaks, the system is directly connected to the fire pond protection. It's really about the situation at Vermont Academy, not
Right.
about.
All right, no, I understand. I was just curious as to, and then it mentions the Warner Center and then
Yep, which
Bellows
serve
Falls.
22 connections in the village. Yeah. And it does talk about the Village of Bellows Falls municipal drinking water system. Carl?
Yeah, this may be picky. It's more of a grammatical, almost grammatical connection, but if you could scroll up a little bit. Okay, where it says connect the village to a municipal water system, I think there should be a comma after system. As it reads now, it indicates that that's the only way that we will provide residents with reliable access to clean drinking water, et cetera, et cetera.
Wait a minute. Are you in the top paragraph?
I am in the top paragraph. We understand that the village trustees are interested in, okay,
Yep.
which include connecting the village of Saxtons River to a municipal water system. There should be a comma after the word system, because we're interested in doing all of these things to provide residents with reliable access to drinking water, not just connect to a municipal water system to provide them
Right,
with drinking water. So that clause needs to be
Oh, I
set
see.
off accurately so that it indicates what we're really trying to do. This is my grammarian coming out.
Yeah, I don't get it though. I mean, I think it's listing out a number of things, one of which is connecting to a municipal water system to provide residents with reliable access to clean drinking water.
That's right, but all of the alternatives, it seems to me, involve providing residents with reliable access to clean drinking water, not just connecting.
But this is not a list of alternatives.
What do you mean?
Although the sentence begins with evaluating alternatives for infrastructure improvements, this is talking about just one of them, which is connecting to a municipal water system.
That's right, but we're interested in infrastructure improvements to provide residents with reliable access to clean drinking water. We're not merely interested, or we're not really looking at a municipal water system as the only way to provide residents with reliable access, which is the sense that it conveys to me. Which include connecting the village of Saxtons River to a municipal water system is a clause that should be separated at both ends from the rest of the sentence.
I don't get it. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't make sense to me. So let me start again and look at it for a minute. And if the rest of you want to override me, that's fine, but
Well, I don't like the beginning of that to be at all, because it again, it might be what's needed to get things done, but it's first and foremost saying that the village of Saxons River wants to put in a water system.
no, it's not.
all the residents.
It says we want to evaluate the existing drinking water infrastructure. And it isn't just the drinking water, of course, it's the firefighting infrastructure.
Right. And I guess the fact that it says and evaluating alternatives for infrastructure improvements, which include connecting the village. So
Yeah, I mean, I can see your point, Carl, if the which include had a bunch of alternatives then, but it doesn't. It only has one.
That's right. and that
Connecting the
implies
village to a municipal water system to provide drinking water.
Let me put this another way. Suppose that that clause, which include connecting the village of Saxons River to a municipal water system, what if that were set aside in parentheses? Just think of how you would read that, as opposed to just having a comma there. So what we're saying is we're interested in evaluating alternatives to provide residents with reliable access to clean drinking water. One of those alternatives is connecting to a municipal water system.
You know what? I'm fine with it. If you want to put a comma in there, I don't think they're going to fight us on that. And I certainly don't want to fight you on it.
Well, okay.
So you want a comma after municipal water system?
I just want something that makes it or clear, or doesn't imply rather, that we are focusing on this as the only alternative to provide us with reliable access to clean drinking water.
I think as we go forward, that's very clear. But if you want a comma after water system.
Okay, I would like to call it after water system. Okay. And I didn't mean to make it quite so big a deal.
Add a comma after water system.
Yeah.
So I'll save this highlighted version.
That makes sense if you slow down and think and read it.
So let's.
This, by the way, is why the corporate attorneys hated me when I looked at contracts.
Okay, so we've got that. So Carl, you had questions on Vermont Academy and the Warner Center system. Did those get handled? I'm sorry, not Carl, Matt.
But
you had a question about the Vermont Academy paragraph?
no,
in the Water
no,
Center?
I just wanted to see those, that's all.
Okay.
And it just mentions those, so.
Okay, back to you, Carl.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I should take my hand down.
I've taken it down. Okay, are we ready to move on to page 2?
Sure.
Okay. So I have a written up copy. And my interest was in going through and looking at the differences between the two drafts. The draft since we sent in our objections and which should be reflected here. So scope of services is the same. Except in draft 1, there was not only an A, B, and C, but also a D. And D talked about the connecting to the Bellows Falls, talked about the Bellows Falls, the quality of water in Bellows Falls as a precursor to extending the Bellows Falls municipal water system to Saxtons River. So that no longer appears in this draft. Okay.
And what was the reasoning for taking that out?
We really don't want to be part of the Bellows Falls water system.
Oh, okay, right.
And Chris worked very closely with Pat to eliminate some of the bigger picture scope things so that
Okay.
we're really focused just on the village of Saxtons River and not on importing a public water system from Bellows Falls to serve
no.
residents here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We agreed at the last minute that that would not fly. And by subtracting that and some of the associated costs with evaluating that alternative, we were able to lower the cost dramatically.
Okay, that makes sense.
We like that, right?
We do.
Okay, so Chris, do you want to talk about 3C and 3D? So this does talk about.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
I think he wants to see, I think he wants to see 3A, B, and C.
Yeah. I have a comment about 3A.
Okay,
It seems to me that it might be wisest not to, in the boldface, not to call this on-campus infrastructure improvements, but just to call it infrastructure improvements at Vermont Academy Water System, similar to B. We're talking about this as a municipal system, and to highlight this as on-campus sort of says, well, you know, maybe this isn't within the scope of a municipal project. I just think it would be raising less questions in the mind of somebody reading the proposal.
is everyone all right with that as an emendation?
Yep.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Yep.
And I
So,
do like your point that it aligns infrastructure and infrastructure.
Right.
yeah, that's okay with you, Chris?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for catching that.
Okay. Do you want longer to read over A or B? And I have it right in front of me. I can read it if it's awkward for anybody to actually see what it's saying.
Nope.
So C and D are the Bellows Falls Municipal Water System. And Chris, do you want to talk about your discussion with Pat Smart?
Well, I emailed him and said I didn't see why, after our meeting 2 weeks ago, why we were really bringing this subject back up. Because in my opinion, I thought by the end of the meeting last time that we knew that we weren't going to be doing anything with Bellows Falls. and that's when they dropped the price from 45,000 to 31,500. And so I was, so as I looked at it, I said, well, did they just, because they were under a time restraint with two holidays, did they just punch a button and did everything just come back up and reprint itself? And so I asked him whether they were really needed. And do you have his reply?
I do. So he said, yes, if we want to, he feels that considering all the alternatives makes a stronger case when we go to either the USDA or the revolving fund for funding for any proposals that come out of this. We need to show that we've really carefully considered a range of alternatives. Carl, I see your hand. Let me just finish with Chris.
Yeah, but knowing that we've cut $10,000 out of the budget to study the Bellows Falls, then I want to make sure that everybody's comfortable that that's not going to happen. We're kind of kidding the federal government a little bit to get the funding for everything, but we're honestly not going to be dealing with that subject. They might look at it as an engineering, say, well, that's not. We looked at it, but we're not going to do anything with it. And at that point, that I can say, okay, since we're not paying you to do that, you're not going to be doing it, and but you're going to tell us that, yeah, we looked at that alternative and it's just not going to happen. Yeah, that's what I think is the bottom line.
Yeah, so I would add one thing. The phrase that caught my eye in Pat's reply was preliminary cost alternatives. So I think he understands that we feel this is not a good choice for the village, but he is going to provide a preliminary cost for extending the municipal water system. Carl?
I was just going to say that my recollection of our last discussion was that we would continue to look at the Bellows Falls system, and that the $10,000 that was removed from the budget was for some physical site testing of their water system, which would not be necessary unless we decided to pursue that alternative.
Right. And but that wording has been eliminated. I'm sorry?
But it's not eliminating consideration at this point. We may know we don't want to do it or think we don't want to do it, but we have to cover all the bases.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So people are okay with 3C? Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're on to 3D, new municipal water system in the village of Saxtons River. And this was the other issue that Chris brought up. So the comments that we've already discussed from Pat are the comments for this one as well. And the last one is no action.
Can you scroll back up to A and B for a second? Okay, thanks.
I will make sure everybody has a copy of this in their inbox once we're through. Let's see. I think the rest, when we get, so this is things that we have discussed, the evaluation of funding programs, financing, feasible alternatives, the preliminary engineering report, estimates of capital and life cycle costs for each feasible alternative. And required NEPA environmental reporting. Exhibit B is what I would call more legal aspects. And with your permission, I would suggest that we have Carl and our lawyer look at these.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay, that's the proposal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for getting on the engineer to get that information to us. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day to Amy to check on them.
So what happens now? Do we need to wait before we get on this proposal for Lori Rowell and Carl Ball to opine on its legality? Would you prefer that happen before we vote?
Yep.
Absolutely. I think there's some questions in there. I think we all need to take a close read of it, or at least some of us need to, and make sure that we're comfortable with all that boilerplate.
Okay.
So one thing that jumped out at me is that we had been talking about payment for this, and when payment would be due, and will we find funding at the end of it? And the boilerplate says we're going to get a monthly invoice. So little details like that I think need to be clear.
Right.
I haven't read it carefully enough. I haven't had time to read it carefully enough to see if there's really a problem or not, but I think we need to go through that boilerplate and make sure that there aren't any objections to it.
Good,
Okay.
good.
One of us, as well as our lawyer.
Okay. Do we need a motion, or is that consensus and we're comfortable with that?
I'm
Yeah, I
fine.
think-
Go ahead.
Excuse me, I'm not a trustee, so.
No, go ahead.
You know, if Carl will do that, that's great, and I appreciate any efforts he does with the attorney, and hopefully we could get it done in a short period of time, obviously.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so let's put it on the agenda for the next meeting, and I will contact Lori Rowell.
And see if she can review that before our next meeting so that we can move forward.
Yep,
Great.
Also, Amy,
yep,
if you could get me her contact info.
yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Chris, you're welcome to stay, but I think we're all set on matters dealing with Vermont Academy. It's always great to have you here. So do whatever you would like.
Well, I appreciate it. I don't want to take away from your trustees having a good time together tonight. So. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, sheriff contract. So do I have that for you? I think I do. So let me see if I can get it up for you. Let's see. So Rick, as you know, has been corresponding with the sheriff.
Mhm.
And here is the sheriff's response. Make sure I don't have anything incriminating on my email. So I will now share my screen to the email from the sheriff. So, hi, Rick. Thanks for the time today. I'm just finishing, this is from the sheriff, our closeout on fiscal year 21. Skipping forward, during that period, we weren't able to provide, oh, can't see it. Hold on, I have it here. 37.48 hours, $1,948.96 worth of service that the village has paid for. We can do one of two options to remedy this. Roll the hours forward. We make up the hours as we continue to provide service, or receive a cash refund. In follow-up to FY22, we are approximately 59 hours behind. As we discussed on the phone, I unexpectedly lost 4 personnel at the beginning of the contract, 2 long-term medical, 1 resignation, 1 full to part-time conversion, and more recently had 2 additional personnel go into quarantine for COVID. We have since had both personnel return from quarantine, 1 return from medical leave, hired 2 fully certified officers, and have 2 more in the hiring pipeline. As such, I anticipate we will be able to satisfy the current contract in full. However, I will offer the following options: satisfy the contract in full, averaging approximately 6 hours a week, receive a cash refund, anticipate rolling hours forward for next year. In both of these circumstances, my preference would be number 1, but we'll honor whatever the village wants to. So number 1 would be rolling the hours forward, making up hours as we continue to provide service. But we have the option of a cash refund. Is that clear to everybody?
No, could you go through that one more time?
Oh, you've got 1 and 2, and then we have 1, 2, and 3. We talking about the same thing, the same year, or?
So the first discussion is about the past contract.
Yeah.
When because of shortages, they were not able to provide service that the village has paid for.
Okay, that's more clear now. So 37 point something hours we paid them for that they did not do the work for.
Right.
Correct? The second one.
48 hours, $1,900. Secondly, he anticipates that because they've been able to fill positions, they should be able to go forward fulfilling the contract in full.
Right, but what's the 59 hours behind?
We are approximately 59 hours behind. So
that's the current contract. So we're 37 point something for, so.
Remember that the contract runs July 2020 to June 21, and then July 2021 to June 2022.
Okay. It's just confusing that we have 2 different numbers there.
Yep.
Yeah. So
anyone want to explain that one?
So are they saying 37.48 hours plus 59 hours?
It sounds that way to me.
No, they're talking about fiscal year 2021, the year ending June 2021.
Right.
For that year, they owe us 37.48 hours or $1,950 worth of services.
Right.
Okay.
$1,900 worth of services.
Okay.
For fiscal year 22.
Yeah.
2022, sorry, which began July 1st, 2021.
Yeah.
They're 59 hours behind. So
we're
they're actually more hours behind now, given the range of circumstances. But he says, you know, let us know what you want. Do you want a cash refund for those hours? Do you want to roll forward with more hours, averaging approximately 6 hours a week, or anticipating rolling hours forward for the following fiscal year. So now we're
So-
talking about FY23, starting July 1st, 2023. That's
So
my
cur-
read of what he's
So
talking about.
currently, he's behind 96 hours, 96 point, I can't see that one.
48.
96 and a half hours to round it up a tick,
Yeah,
right?
37 plus 59. Yep.
yeah.
That's a little behind.
Yeah, I would say so.
So how many, okay, how many hours are we contracting with them per year?
So we do it by the month. We contract them.
No, we have a set amount, right, that we approve? 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, is that correct?
Oh, yeah, but it's based on hours.
Right, but I'm just looking at numbers in general.
Yeah, I don't have the figures with me. I can go and see if I can pull them up real quick.
Well, it almost, I wouldn't, it's one thing if you're a few hours behind, but we're almost 100 hours behind.
So Rick also provided a summary that I haven't shared with you.
Okay.
So the sheriff's offer is to provide us with about 6.5 hours per week through July to catch up. If they don't catch up, then the hours they don't catch up on, they would roll into the year starting July 1st.
All right.
Can I ask some questions regarding the history of the sheriff's contracts in the past, or even with the state police? Has
So
this
the state
happened?
police is not an alternative for us at this point.
No, she's
No,
just asking about past.
Okay.
Yeah, just the history. So has a similar situation like this happened in the past?
No.
Carl, Matt,
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
Okay, then
we have had,
Well, I think, a couple of things
couple of
happened.
years of COVID.
And civil unrest regarding law enforcement.
okay. All right.
Where's
Because
where's your head going here, Ellen?
well,
Share
what
your thought
I was
process.
I was curious to see how, if this is a pattern and how it was remedied in the past, if that was some way to determine, guide us towards the future. But 100 hours is a lot.
Well, yeah, we're 2 years worth.
Yeah. And so, I just did some quick math. So that's $52 an hour, roughly.
Yeah, I think
Let me get the contract. It's crazy to be doing this.
well, it doesn't.
Well, no, and
I
that's
don't
okay,
know.
because it's just an estimate. All I did was take the 1948-96 and divide it.
Yep, you're correct. It's in that realm.
So, and based on my, I would, I almost would like to see either a cash refund. I don't like the anticipate rolling hours forward to next fiscal year, because we don't know, that's quite a ways away in my book. So either satisfy the contract, receive, or I don't know. I don't like the unknown here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would say, given the financial difficulties of that department over the years, that we want to try and work with them and let them try and satisfy it with additional. And if they've hired people back and had other officers come back, we certainly could use some more patrolling around here.
I agree.
Regarding speed and So I'd be willing to work with them and let them slide a little bit more. But yeah, come time for another contract, any used hours, we'll go into a new contract. So
That's
we're not going to lose it. We're not going to pay them and not get service and then just go into another contract without that being deducted.
Carl?
Yeah, it seems to me that, well, first I agree with Matt. I think we should work with them and not ask for cash refund, but we have a need for the patrols, particularly during the summer months.
Mm-hmm.
And the fiscal year comes right in the middle of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think that it might be prudent to take, say, the 2021 hours and fulfill them before the end of the current fiscal year and roll the 2022 hours into the next contract so that we've got those extra hours spread out over June, July, August.
Yeah. And maybe we need a monthly report from them.
We do. We get one.
Okay. So that we can be hounding them and say, look, you're 2 years, you're almost 100 hours here and we want them.
Yeah. So I can assure you that
here.
the reason that we're having this exchange is because Rick has been getting those reports every time, checking them, keeping them, and talking to the sheriff. I kind of like that the sheriff is open and agrees that that they have not been providing the service they said they would, and that there's a cost to that. But I also appreciate that we've come through 2 years of COVID, and I worry a little bit that if we pull the legs out from underneath that stool, we're going to be left with no good alternatives for law enforcement.
Right. Yep.
So I like the way we seem to be moving towards trying not to charge them, but trying to get the service out of them.
Right.
If we talk about more hours in the summer, what is the summer? Is it May, June, July? I mean, July must be huge if we have a 4th of July.
Yeah, come late spring. I mean, it's always been that we've pushed to do it in those warmer months, when the young kids get restless and are out and about at night and on the weekends, and then once they're out of school completely.
So we're talking May through August?
Oh yeah. Yeah. May to September.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Carl, do you have enough to convey this succinctly for the minutes?
Yeah, I guess so. Have we come to a consensus? That's what's not clear to me.
I think the consensus, I'm going to start, I'll try and word a consensus and you can jump on me and correct me. So it seems to me the consensus is that we would like to satisfy the contract by, I'm going to go back to, by using more hours per week to catch us up for what hasn't been spent. If there are hours from the past 2 fiscal years that they have not been able to catch up, we would be comfortable having those rolled into fiscal year 2023, beginning July 1st, 2022.
Yep.
What about even suggesting that they roll some of those into that following year? Because that would, take us into August, September, which are part of the summer months.
July, August, September.
Yeah. And it just seems to me that we've got 100 extra hours maybe we don't need to use them all between January and July. Maybe we want to use some of them between July and December, if they're willing to do that.
Yes, they are.
Hmm.
Okay, do we have
I'm
a
up-
consensus?
Yep, I'm fine.
Okay.
Carl, have you got enough?
I think so.
Okay, I'm going to stop screen sharing. Back to us. Okay, where are we on the agenda? Treasurer and payment arrangements. So it was suggested at the last meeting that it would be great if we could make auto payment arrangements so that we did not get surprised by VTEL, Green Mountain Power bills when we knew pretty accurately what those bills would be. And I had a somewhat interesting conversation with Sarah Carpenter on this. Sarah Carpenter is a friend from my childhood, and I always go there instead of Sarah Campbell. I apologize, Sarah Campbell. Sarah would be delighted to set up auto pay. She is finding that the post office is just not handling the mail appropriately. And she feels that auto payments would streamline her efficiencies to an enormous extent. She is looking for ways to avoid handling the same pieces of paper over and over again. Would you like a motion to that effect, or is this relay of the discussion enough for you?
Which payments are we doing? And so they're not going to be automatic payment means we, even if we don't approve them, they're going to get paid, or is this
That's
set up?
correct.
Right?
So this situation came to us because we were served with a disconnect notice, which I brought to you at the last meeting. And Sarah was livid at that. But in fact, they had not received the check that she sent out 2 weeks ahead, 2 weeks previously. So if you would like, we could do it on a case-by-case basis. I cannot imagine that we would ever not pay the electric bill
Right.
from Green Mountain Power or the VTEL bill.
Correct.
Though the largest bills are for the wastewater treatment plant. Both of those bills are essential. If either of those made the plant go offline, we would be in such big trouble.
Oh, no, I agree with that. You don't have to sell me on that. I guess I don't want all of our payments to be automatic. That's all.
I agree. That's why we have a warrant. So should we craft a motion that indicates that we would like to see, or that we are comfortable with automatic payments being set up for Green Mountain Power and VTEL, and we would like to see any other recommendations before payment plans are set up? How does that sound? Or
Yes.
suggest some alternative? Carl?
Yeah, I just say I'm against on principle auto payments. I don't like the idea of a bill being paid before we've had a chance to look at it and make sure that there's no question. There have been instances in the past where we've had, for example, questions about the VTEL bill for the wastewater treatment plant. We've had questions about being billed twice for the same service. And I think if we've already paid it, we're not in a position to contest something.
What about the situation of the check taking 2 weeks to clear, 2 weeks to reach the destination?
I would think that given modern technology, go ahead, Carl, if you wanted to finish.
I was going to say that I have bills, a credit card, for example, that I pay electronically rather than sending the bill in through the mail. It's not auto paid. I have the option of how much of the bill I want to pay. When I get the bill, I go in, I I authorized the bank to make the payment. And I think that overcomes the problem of things getting lost in the mail. And it doesn't put us in a position of paying things before we've exercised our proper due diligence as trustees.
Yep.
I just think it's inappropriate for us to agree to an auto pay.
I would
Sorry,
agree.
Sarah.
So I
I
will
would
point
agree.
out that we do have one auto pay set up already, and that is the automatic withdrawal to satisfy the wastewater treatment repayment of the USDA loan. It's quite a large payment. I left it on the warrant for a couple of meetings just because it was so big. So we're notified ahead of time. December 21st, a certain amount will be withdrawn. And, you know, December 21st comes and goes, and that electronic withdrawal happens at the bank. That sounds like auto pay to me, but
That's a little bit different situation because
okay.
that's the same bill every month. It's the same amount. It's a mortgage schedule.
Mhm.
And it doesn't change. Our phone bills, our electric bills do change.
Mhm.
And it's based on usage. It's based on, correct metering, for example. And we don't, in fact, know exactly what it's going to be. We know the ballpark, but there's more room for error. There's not room for error in the repayment of the loan. I mean, that's all signed, sealed in advance, if I understand it correctly.
So should I explore with Sarah electronic payments instead of auto payments?
Mhm.
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
Ellen?
I think that that's a good route to go because she can add, it's a good way to control it because yes.
Okay. And the minutes will show the consensus, Carl?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
it may be that that's not something that the bank is willing to do, in which case we'll have to revisit it, but.
Okay. I will start there. The opioid settlement, just to let you know, I have docu-signed, I think that's the legal jargon for it, are settlements with the national opioid deal. I'll let you know if there's anything more. They came in, they had to be done effectively. You had authorized me when we brought it up months ago. So that's where we are. I have no idea what that means in terms of actual funds. I've lost the details, but the signatures have been appended. Questions? Calendar. So just looking ahead, both meetings, both in January and February, there are Monday meetings that fall on a national holiday. And I wanted to ask what your preference is. I think it's Martin Luther King Day in January and President's Day in February.
I'm not a fan. I've never been a fan of Monday holiday meetings. But
You would like to skip those meetings?
yeah, like in the past, Memorial Day and Labor Day, we were having meetings, and it's just, there's no other municipalities having meetings, and banks are closed and schools are closed. I'm not sure why we're doing business. So,
okay. Ellen?
Just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with Matt. I would prefer not to have meetings on a national holiday. But is it something that we could at least maybe just push off a day and have a meeting on Tuesday? Or are you saying that we should just not have a meeting for that?
I'm asking what you want to do. We've just made some decisions that we wanted to revisit in 2 weeks. I have to say my gut instinct is that the MSK proposal should be signed and sealed and get on the way. I am very concerned that we get that going. So I'd be happy to meet on another day. But I know that means everybody's schedule and, restructuring. I haven't heard from you, Carl.
It seems to me that in the past, if we felt that we had to have that 2 meetings in that month, we have had it on the following Monday.
So it's the 24th.
The third rather than the fourth rather than the third Monday, for example. I'm okay with meeting on another day.
Yeah, if it's going to be just for that, I don't mind another day just to look at that and approve it.
Yeah, we could call a special meeting for that.
Yep,
that
that would be
second.
the logistics, definitely. So then instead of the 24th, instead of the 17th, you're suggesting that we might want to meet on the 24th, Monday,
Well,
the 24th?
I think we've done that in the past. Am I right, Matt? Is my recollection?
Yeah, well, or do Tuesday or Wednesday of that week.
We could do Tuesday or Wednesday of that week, yeah.
Because then what happens is we do 2 Mondays in a row.
Yeah.
So,
What about your schedule, Ellen? How do you feel about Tuesdays versus Mondays? Or Wednesdays?
Well, that's what I was just looking at. So I apologize. I was kind of half paying attention because I was looking at my schedule. So are we saying that changing all meetings now to Tuesdays?
No.
We're
just talking about January and February.
Okay.
If
So
we don't meet on the specific formulaic prescribed day, it's a special meeting, but that's fine. They're easy. Once you've done a couple, you can do them till the cows come
roll
home.
right through.
That's right. You've done it.
So I will say that if there's nothing real pressing, I'm sure we can, handle one meeting per month instead of 2.
That would be great, but
being
I
the
don't know.
winter time, right?
So what if I pledge to make it? I mean, honestly, I don't try to make these meetings long, but it seems like there are questions and we have to go into them. So, and typically I really don't know ahead of time what's going to take more time. So I'm anticipating I'm going to have feedback for you on the municipal planning grant and on the ARPA meetings by the time we meet again in January. So I'm leery of skipping the meeting entirely.
Okay, so why don't we just schedule the next meeting for the 24th? How's that?
So we could do the 24th, but what that means, actually, it's not that bad for that particular meeting because we don't have a meeting on the 31st. It's one of those rare months where we have an extra Friday. So that would work for me. What do the rest of you think? We could also switch it closer to the 17th, make it on the 18th, a Tuesday. But if we want to do it on a Monday, the 24th, and then we don't meet the 31st, and then we meet the first Monday of February. Do I hear?
Run that by me again. You had all kinds of numbers floating out there.
Sorry.
So our next meeting is
with no numbers. Our next meeting was supposed to be the 17th.
So we're going to do it the 18th and call it good for the month.
Say it again.
So if we're going to have it on the 18th, we're going to, then our next one would be in February. Correct?
Correct. But we do have the alternative of moving it a week later and not having to have 2 meetings in a row.
We're back to back. Well, then if you
because there's an extra Monday in January.
Oh, yeah.
Still be able to skip a meeting. So what do you like, Monday or Tuesday?
If we do it on Tuesday, does that conflict with the select board meeting?
Quite probably.
So we may not want to move to a Tuesday. We might want to move to a Wednesday, say, if we want to keep it the same week.
Is that a motion?
No, just a point.
I think meeting on the 24th makes sense. It's a Monday. We know that's a good one. It sort of feels like a regular meeting, even though it isn't.
It's fine with me.
Ellen?
Yeah, that's fine with me. I was just looking at the schedule for the town, but yes, the 24th works for me.
How about
That's
you,
okay
Matt?
with you, Matt?
And then our next meeting after that is the 7th.
I think that's correct.
That is correct, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Okay, next meeting will be January 24th. It'll be technically a special meeting. Do you want to look at February or you want to wait since we're exhausted from doing January? So February, the meetings would be the 7th and the 21st. The 21st is President's Day.
So could we do the 7th and the 28th?
We could, but then we have the situation that Matt wisely pointed out. We would have a meeting on the 28th, and then a week later on the 7th, we would have another meeting.
So February, we can't have just one meeting?
We could try.
All right.
So let's wait and discuss this again, but really see if it's possible to have, February's a short month too. Okay, so noted. So Carl, for the minutes, the next meeting in January will be on the 24th. It will be a special meeting, 7 p.m. Monday night. And we will figure out what to do about February and the holiday then. Okay?
Aye.
Committee reports and updates. Anything on the fire station?
No, nothing
Gary,
new.
all set? Nothing new?
Yes, Gary's all set and documents have been submitted and it's just a
Great.
waiting game now.
When do we hear?
He didn't know. Last we spoke, it could be a few months.
Good.
So
Right.
Wastewater treatment plant. So I hope I have the, I get these cryptic messages and I have to go and Google. So I believe the dissolved oxygen backup probe, the DO probe, for the sequencing batch reactor, the SBR, has to be replaced. The replacement has been ordered. It will be $6,000 or $5,500 plus shipping. And I would like your approval for it, but I wanted to explain it before we got to the warrant. We don't yet have a bill for it, but Rob let me know about it so that we could approve it.
Mm-hmm.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Should we do a motion?
Sure. I'll move that we approve the $5,500 plus shipping to purchase a dissolved oxygen backup probe for the SBR.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify with a hand.
I've got
Carl?
a hand up.
Okay, great. You don't have a hand up?
I do.
Okay,
Just not
so it's
showing on the
unanimous. Great. Thank you. Anything else on the wastewater treatment plant?
Nope.
No,
Minutes for approval from December 20th, 2021. Did everybody get a chance to see those? Questions, comments for Carl?
corrections, additions.
Hearing none, I wonder if there is a motion for approval.
I'll move we approve the minutes,
Second.
December 20th.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of December 20th. All in favor, put up a hand. And it's unanimous. Warrants and bills for approval. And I'm getting the warrant up. So if you notice, I put supplies per Rob Wheeler, replace DO probe for SBR tanks, wastewater treatment plant as $6,000. That brings the total to $10,413.71.
What, but we don't have a bill for that. So why are
We
we
don't.
approving?
Well, we're approving it because it's been ordered. He plans to order it immediately. Would you rather
Right.
wait?
Well, it was 5,500 plus shipping. So if it's more than 6,000 or less than 6,000, we're just rounding that number to cover it, but we don't know. So we're not
Correct.
approving the actual bill. We're approving purchase of it.
So would you prefer I take this off the warrant?
I would think we're not paying it right now, right? I mean, we
I haven't
approved,
seen it.
right. We approved the purchase of it. But we're not paying for the purchase.
Okay.
So
Everybody
yeah.
comfortable with that? I just clear it?
Yep.
Okay.
It's gone. We're now
All right.
looking at a warrant for $4,413.71. Is there discussion? Carl? Maybe your hand is up from voting.
Oh, it's up from voting. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay, I'm lowering it.
Thank you. It didn't lower for me.
Any
So
questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the warrant for $4,413.71.
Is there a second to that?
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the warrant for $4,413.71. Are there further questions? Let me stop sharing, and all in favor, put your hand up. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. I'm lowering your hand, Carl.
I beat you to it.
Carl, you have a bad shoulder or what?
The camera's not picking me up. for
Things
some
always
reason.
get stuck up there. I don't know.
Is there other business to discuss tonight?
I had a question
Okay.
regarding the Vermont Academy and the Warner Center. We had talked to them about receiving a letter that they were going to.
Oh, we did, didn't we? You know, I
Yeah.
didn't bug them about it. So I will bug them about it.
Yeah. It seems like it's just going to be a formality in the long run. But we really can't go out on, go into it, looking into and possibly upgrading two private water supplies that help the village, but they're not supplying drinking water for the whole village.
So this is in the event, that we are given a bill for
Correct.
$31,500.
And they both had
Yep.
approved or said that they would cover $10,000 each. So
Yep.
I think that's real important that we have that before we get too deep into it.
Okay, got it. I will send out a polite inquiry. You remind me that it is my job to put together a history of calls and expenses for the fire department so that we can send Athens that information promptly. Should have probably gone out, but I haven't done it. With the intention of asking to raise the fee they pay the town. So I'll work on that, and I'll try and have it for you by January 24th, the next meeting. Other business? Items for the next meeting, which will not be the 17th, but will be the 24th. So we have the MSK proposal. We have the letters from Vermont Academy and the Warner Center. We have the Athens fire bill. Any other business that you want to see discussed? We have an update from Sarah on bill payment. Electronic bill payment. Anything else? Okay. Any need for an executive session?
No.
Okay, I think we're at the magic moment. Someone like to
Motion
make a
to
motion?
adjourn.
Okay, all in
Second.
favor? Thanks, guys.
So-
Bye, guys.